Hello, BookTube. I need to have a conversation about eventually unhauling some of my collection. Um, so over the past few weeks, a number of booktubers have either announced or have um, accomplished massive unhauls of their collections. Most recently, Michael K. Vaughan, who is preparing for a massive unhaul of Doom, which I'll leave his announcement video for that project in the show notes if I remember to. And that has got me thinking about my own collection. Also, the knowledge that as much as I've talked about the possibility of moving into maybe a larger apartment, well, I don't know whether the apartment would be any larger than what I've got now or what, but outside of the possibility of moving that I've talked a bit about, although no word yet on that, or no updates on that. That basically my collection is confined to this space I have now, my bedroom, and a little bit into the hall. So this is basically all I've got for books. And while I can add a few more bookcases, there's some empty space a little bit this way. When I filmed at my bed, you could see there's that empty space with some paintings hanging there. So that space I could get another bookcase there. I could probably get some taller bookcases on the other wall. And then I could probably get rid of my desk and maybe get another bookcase or two there. I could do something with, not that way. The bookcase that my brother made, which is this right there. And then also probably add maybe another bookcase in the hall, although that would have to sacrifice my dresser. But anyway, that's I could get some more space for books, but I really need to start thinking about, well, what books do I want to keep? And more pertinently, what books do I want to get rid of? And I've been seriously considering that for a while now. Particularly a number of the genres that I'm not necessarily either into, or books that I've read and I'm never going to read again, or that I bailed on and I'm pretty sure won't become favorites after a bail redemption. And also, how am I going to get rid of or send on the books that I will eventually be unhauling? So I'm going to start with how I'm going to do it. And then I'll talk about what books I kind of sort of see unhauling. So one option is to send books along to other people. Not necessarily as borrowing, but as gifting. And the easiest in that case, I could possibly do it through BookTube, because I know a number of BookTubers have gifted books to others, so that's a possibility as well. But I could also gift, particularly those books of mine that my mom has enjoyed, I could probably gift them to my aunts, because my mom and my aunts have very similar reading tastes, and there are a number of books that I have, not many. My tastes are not too terribly, so no, not similar at all, really, that I could pass on to my aunts and then just tell them to, once they're done with them, to trade them in for store credit at their local used bookstores or donate them or whatever. Just don't bring them back to me, because, yeah, then I'd have to figure out how else I'm going to get rid of them or send them on. I could donate them. There are a number of little free libraries, although none within walking distance. A major problem for me to unhaul books is that I don't drive. And so it's easy to bring books in because I order them online and they're delivered through various delivery services like the post office, UPS, FedEx. But sending them on is you need transportation, and that's always a drawback, particularly when um, finding or wrestling up transportation is at times a bit difficult. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. But anyway, so there are a number of little free libraries, although none within walking distance, none within. So the town that I live in is weird. It is weirdly shaped. There's a central old town, like the original town, and then there are like suburban extensions at the peripheries, namely going east towards Waco, where there are neighborhoods popping up that are where the local little free libraries are. I've heard years ago when at the beginning of the pandemic that a local church had a little free library, but I passed by that church a few times and I've never seen it, so I don't know. So I don't know. The mechanics of actually like rustling up transportation to go hunt for little free libraries, I don't know if that would work. I could also donate some books to the Friends of the Library book sale, which is something I've done before and I would like to do again, although that would have to be probably at the beginning of the new year because the Friends of the Library are currently in the process of getting ready for this year's book sale, which begins at the beginning of November. So they're probably like, don't send us any more books, hold off until the beginning of the year, so that way we can try to get what we've got currently set up and ready to go. Because they should be getting that going in the next few weeks. So that's always an option. And then I could also try to trade them in for store credit. There are a number of used bookstores locally. Golden's and Brazos. I've talked a bit about Golden's. They have a pretty liberal trade-in policy. They pretty much take almost everything. Even if they can't sell it, they'll like figure something out to do for you. And then there's Brazos, which I think they have a stricter trade-in policy, but I haven't been there in years. I would actually like to go back. I actually kind of would like to do a local used bookstore thing, but I don't know how that would happen because, again, transportation's an issue. And then I could also try to do like sell books online, either personally or trade them into online used bookstores. I know Powell's, the storied independent bookstore in Portland, who I have been shopping with for a few years now, and I absolutely adore. Do buy books online, although I'm not entirely sure about that because I've never tried it before, so I don't know if there would be any issues. Also, to like how they like to have it done, I would have to go to a UPS store to send the books that way. And again, transportation is an issue. So I'm not entirely sure. So I need to, I think, talk to my brother and sister-in-law and see if they would be willing to transport me or what. Anyway, so that's one issue. And so the next is, well, what books will I be unhauling eventually? There are a number of books that I've read that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be reading again. I think those can go. I think a number of books that I'm no longer really interested in can probably go. um, I know my science fiction and fantasy collection, despite the fact that science fiction and fantasy is my favorite genre of fiction, I've like my interest in it is seriously declined the last few years to the point where I will watch Mailbag from SFF 180 and nothing appeals to me, and that's pretty much for a few months now. So I think I could probably get a good chunk of my science fiction and fantasy collection probably can go to where I think maybe 3 bookcases instead of what they have now. I think I could probably do my classics, canonical, modern, contemporary fiction, poetry, drama. I think that I can kind of go through. I mean, because so many of them are bales. I do have a strangely toxic relationship with literary fiction. Um, so that I could probably do away with. Because it's either, again, lots of bells or books that once I've read, I'm probably never going to reread. So I think those I can probably send on. At some point, I'm going to have to have a hard look at my history shelves behind me because as much as that extra bookcase that I can get in is on this wall, and so would be a further history bookcase. I will at some point be reaching a limit of what I can do with history. So I need to start thinking about what histories I can send on. If I want to limit myself to, say, one biography or like a limited number of books on any one historical topic, except for, say, those areas that are especially interesting to me. So I would have a lot of ancient history books, maybe not a whole lot of more recent history, something like that. I don't know. That's something I'll need to think about in the future. My general nonfiction and general genre fiction probably will also, I mean, as paltry as they both are, probably can also be rather decimated because a lot of them I've read and I don't really intend to reread. I might keep my Agatha Christie collection, although I'm a bit down on Agatha Christie too right now. So anyway. So at some point in the future, I will probably start unhauling parts of my collection. It's not going to be anywhere near as massive as a lot of other booktubers have been, largely because a lot of their book hauls are doubles, because they have not only the physical books in that collection, but also e-copies. And they're getting rid of the physical copies and keeping the e-copies. I don't enjoy e-reading. I find it a massive pain, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, or comics and manga. It doesn't work for me, and I typically find myself getting inordinately frustrated. So I'm sticking with physical copies. And so, yeah. So for me, it's going to be largely an issue of space. I mean, and for right now, I'm starting to push against that space. I either need to get more bookcases in or start unhauling. So that's where things stand. Anyway, and I'll think a bit more about this and maybe do a more formal unhauling announcement video, or when I get around to finally deciding who's getting unhauled and how, I'll just do an unhaul video about those particular books and send them on their way. So anyway, BookTube, that's all I've got for today. Tomorrow I will try to do a tag video because there's one I missed from last week, although I think there's a few more that I kind of want to look at. Two. Wednesday, I'm going to do the Kindle Prize shortlist video, as well as the guesses for the 3 finalists. Also, I will have a book haul. There's 2 right there, and I'm getting 3 more. And that's going to be a whole thing, because which I either will talk about during that book haul, or I will do after for weekly reads. Thursday, I guess I ought to do my NaNoWriMo video on Thursday, which is being a whole thing too, because anyway. And then Friday, I think I, of course, will be weekly reads, and I might try to do something earlier in the day as well. So in a booktube, I'm starting to ramble, although I think I rambled quite a bit in this video. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. So thank you, booktube. Have a great afternoon, and stay safe.